All right, welcome to Economics 410, Applied Regression. In this video, I'm going to talk about prediction intervals. So the objectives here are that you're going to be able to construct prediction intervals, but also that you're able to interpret those intervals. So what do they mean? So you've seen confidence intervals. So prediction intervals are wider than their corresponding confidence intervals. That doesn't tell you what it is yet, but we'll get there. So again, we're taking a specific set of values for the independent variables. So just a set of numbers for the x or right-hand side variables. Plug that into the estimated model. You get a y hat. That's your predicted value. And now what you're doing is you're building an interval around that point. So similar to the case for the confidence interval, but it is an interval for a specific observation, not an average. So in the previous case where you had a confidence interval, it was an interval for the average value of y at that particular set of values for the x variables. So, okay, how are those things different? How is a prediction interval different from a confidence interval? Well, the confidence interval is an interval for, again, an average, while the prediction interval pertains to a specific observation. So let's give you the following example involving new stores and their sales. So you have a model using existing stores, and you predict the sales of new stores based on certain independent variables. So how large the store is, maybe how large the city is where the store is located, maybe some other features, maybe the average income in that zip code, whatever might be your explanatory variables. So you're opening several new stores. They've got the same values for the independent variables. Right? So the stores are the same size, the zip codes or cities where they are going to operate are the same size, the residents have the same average income, whatever it is that your variables are, you've got the same values there. So you want an estimate for the average of those store sales. You construct a confidence interval. Right now, in a different setting, you're focusing on one specific location. You're going to open a new store in, I'll say, Tempe, since that's where ASU's, one of ASU's campuses is located. So you're focused on Tempe. Right? You want the interval for what that store's sales will be. So you construct a prediction interval in that case. Right? So hopefully that illustrates the distinction, the difference between the two types of intervals. You can use an example in R. It's the same base example as the video where I talked about confidence intervals. So again, using the supervisor performance data. So again, you can pause if you want to read off the variables there, but moving here, we're just predicting y. Again, that's the overall job rating. I'm going to show the example in R. It's the same set of code as used in the confidence interval video here. You're going to use the predict function, but now one of the options changes. So where it says interval, instead of using confidence there, you use prediction. And I'll illustrate that for you. So I have the same code that I used in making the confidence interval. And here I'm just going to use this predict function again. But now for this interval part, it says prediction as opposed to the example you saw in a previous video where it said confidence. This time I'm going to use a 95%, but we can do a little bit of playing around there. So we'll just try this out. And it shows, again, I get the same fitted value. That should be no surprise. The fitted value here is 66.4199. Right? It's got to be the same. It's the same values for the x variables. But now I've got a lower value and an upper value for the prediction interval. This is 95%. So let me go ahead and just change this to 90, and we can check that it's in fact wider than the corresponding confidence interval. So all I did was to change the level here from 0.95 to 0.9. So I just want to compare this here. Run this. Let me just make this a little easier to see here. And you can see perhaps that it is wider because before we had 63 and now it dips down to 53. We had 69 at the upper value there, and now we've got 78. So the prediction interval, even at for the 90%, the 90% prediction interval is wider than the 90% confidence interval. And the same thing will hold true at any level that you would have there. So another thing to note here, just very quickly, is that if you do want to see more about this function, you can just call for help. Right, just enter help down here. So actually, let me just try that out. Help predict.lm. Just run that. And now over here, you've got some additional details about this function and how to use it. All right, now that you've seen that example with the R code, just a little check on your understanding. True or false, the prediction interval is wider than the confidence interval.